Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. This is the post-fight review for the Fabio Wardley and Simon Valilly fight, which featured on the Fight Camp card, the first of four. It's in the Matchroom headquarters back garden. So we can start off by saying, and the new. So we'll get to the action with this fight that Fabio Wardley won. He stops Simon Valilly inside 3 rounds, and then on to a little bit of the what next, because after this impressive performance, and this is a guy who was 8-0 with a limited background in the sport, who's made every post a winner, and there was a question coming into this fight, how would his experience hold up versus a guy in Valilly, who was obviously a good amateur, and also he's been a pro for some time. He's had much more experience than Wardley, but it didn't count for anything tonight. Wardley, his skills and talent, it shone through. That first round there was a filling out process, but the jabs and the activity by Wardley, it gave him the round for me. Both were very patient in there, but it became apparent from that first round there was a speed difference, and not to the guy that you might have thought. It was to Wardley. He was clearly the quicker man. Valilly, who was tight at cruiserweight, has come up to heavyweight, and I think the extra weight that he's put on, because he was 224 pounds and change for this one, it did seemingly slow him down a bit. But Wardley, he'd come down in weight, 14 pounds since his last fight, second lightest of his 9-fight pro career. Obviously that was a good move. He was the faster guy in there, and his reflexes, it really sort of came into play in this fight, particularly in the second and third rounds. That first round of feeling out process, Wardley was the busier, active guy, jabs to body and head. I gave him that round. I thought, it was close, but I thought he, took that one. But it was round 2 where Wardley really started to just ratchet things up a little bit. He was starting to work to the body more. He was just picking up the pace, and the speed difference was apparent. And you sort of thought that you were going to, that he was going to land something telling at some point. And he did. The third round lands a big left hook. Valilly staggers back, and Wardley is all over him. And as the commentary sort of described it, it was a predatory finish. So he just jumped in through, just the kitchen sink at Simon Valilly, forcing the ref to jump in. And it wasn't just, reckless abandonment that he went for the finish. He picked his shots, body and head, and that was a feature throughout the fight. There was, he was patient, he took his time, and he picked his spots for the most part, and he looked good. And the reflexes and the speed, it was a feature of this fight. So certainly that could give a number of other heavyweights some issues as he sort of climbs up the ladder. Remembering a lot of heavyweights in the division right now are the sort of come forward, sort of slow type plodders. Not necessarily at the top end of the division, but the sort of territory that Wardley is going to have to scale to get towards the top 20, top 30 level. He's going to be running through some guys that, are stationary targets to a large extent. But in Valilly, this performance, I'm sure he'll be disappointed. He looked like he'd lost a step in speed because of the extra weight. But overall, there seemed to be a gap in class between Wardley and Valilly, and it sort of started to shine through from round 2. So very impressive performance overall. There was good body work, good jabs, a good finish. He was patient, and he had really, really good reflexes. He was sort of matrixing out of the way of a few shots in impressive fashion. There was a lot to like about it. And in the process, 9-0 now, picks up the English title, which was vacant. Daniel Dubois had previously held that. And I guess the what next is interesting. He's a Dillian White managed prospect as Fabio Wardley. I really like what I see with this guy and how he's heading. Until now, I needed to see more before sort of getting more on board with where he was going in the division. But yeah, he impressed me. I know a lot of people have been high on him and where he's going, and I'm starting to sort of get on board, but still early. He still needs to be tested, especially given the limited background. And this was a step up in Valilly. It may not have looked it necessarily, but it certainly was a step up in class, and he's clearly proven that he's ready for further tests. And I guess, now that he's got the English title, probably a couple of defenses would be, just for the experience, the rounds, it's probably needed. I mean, maybe a guy like Sam Sexton, that would seemingly be a decent opponent at this stage for Fabio Wardley. There's others out there at domestic level that he could pick from, and I do think they'll probably have a couple of defenses. is, he does need more seasoning, but there's a lot to like. 6'5", that was some good blistering speed in there at times, and a really good finish, capped off a good performance from Fabio Wardley. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.